to get everybody in.
So we can go back.
No, so you move over, you move this
We are
way.
already live.
Okay, it's all
Recording.
right, we can edit it. Oh, wait, sorry, now move a little bit back. You come here. Come here, close to me. We can edit all this part out. Gotta get HK in there though too. You wanna turn, yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, okay, all right. Well, hey, we're live. So I thought I'd start by just talking about some of the near-term future vision. I mean, there's a long-term vision, but we actually have new-term vision as well. So the plan is to get 3 schools going besides the 3 locations we have. And we are working on a really nice website, which would have tabs at the top line navigation, where our locations would show up as we add them. We're, I think, working smart because since we plan on adding locations and theoretically maybe down the road we might drop one, we'll have the ability to make those changes without having to work with a web designer. It's going to be built so that we can make those kinds of changes. And we'll have like our own URL. Like we're thinking maybe TKD India was both available and affordable. So it's kind of an open-ended name, but like, you know, it's easy. It's less than, I don't know how many letters he said, less than 8 or whatever it was. So it's easy to remember. So we're working on that. We are also, I mean, I worked on a document that's going to turn into a slideshow so that we have the ability to go present to these schools. We're going to get business cards so that you have a card you can leave. We're going to have, stuff like that, some materials. We're going to get a masthead so that when we send out an email, like even maybe the weekly things, it'll have something at the top. So everything we send out will have this visual, even if we're sending it electronically. Kind of like in the old days when people had stationery, but it's like that. We're going to get an email and a Google account. So like that stuff will start coming out, not from my AES account anymore. It will come out from our separate things. So we're starting to separate from being tied so much to AES and creating more neutral presence. Also one that when I leave, we don't lose, because when I leave, I lose my school stuff. So that's some of the stuff we're doing and getting ready for these presentations. There's something that doesn't directly affect us at this moment, but it's kind of exciting. And this is really near term. Ms. Rios spoke to Chief Master Betsy Stevens, who is in charge of all the international tournaments like Worlds. And Senior Master Turner and Ms. Rios are going to run a tryout for a team sparring for people who are OCI card holders who are in the US or are like first generation, but they still have family in India, so we can have a full international sparring team. As you know, right now, it's super hard. It's always been hard, but it's even harder to get unmarried Indian men who are young, I guess, and old too, get them visas. So this is, and it has to do with the fact, sadly, that a big percentage of that group don't ever leave the U.S. once they get in, and Trump is all over this immigration thing right now. So, like, it's really hard. But what this would do is, and they'll have like jackets that say Team India, like it'll bring up more presence for us there. And you might say, why does that matter? Well, it does because the level of support we get, just the awareness that this is happening. It's kind of like building a brand, and ATA is all over the world. So it's just like building awareness of this part of the brand being here, if that makes sense. So that's exciting. And Master Turner's working with Ms. Rios on that. That's good. Okay, so then let's get, and do you have any questions about any of the stuff I just said?
I want to say something.
Please
So,
say.
as you said that we have website and you will come with the documentary so they can see things. So, my mind suddenly triggered. Can you make more videos of classes? Maybe not possible with the student, but with the instructor, they are doing the things. So, when you were saying something, the B-roll will go behind you. So the videos just pop up with the instructor doing the kicks and the staff, the weapons thing. It was
Um, well, there's several responses to that. One, we will definitely need some specific photography, even for still shots on the website. And what that probably means is inviting 8 kids who can look like, maybe we put different belts on them, but they're maybe all black belts, but they like, well, but that they look good and that they're paying attention. And we have an afternoon where we get somebody up here and we actually do a photo shoot. And that can include little video clips too, so that we have some stuff to put up on the website that doesn't look like it was shot with somebody's phone, right? And then, good lighting and all of that, and then the kids look great. Um, the other answer to that is we are hoping to have a tab that says gallery, and then when somebody does take a cute little 15-second thing with their phone, it can be uploaded so there's kind of constant refreshing of images and people see their kids, right? Like if they're already in the program, it's like, oh, look, Johnny's over here. And we're hoping that would push out to our Facebook page and Instagram. Now, the schools in the US, and this is just to understand maybe our model as different from what they do there. The schools in the US have to advertise to get people who just live in their community to come. We're not going to advertise. We actually don't want our website visited or even our Facebook page visited just by random humans, right? These are really created for our school sites where we're going to go and we're going to serve the kids in that school, possibly their families, but certainly those kids. And it is right now a lot of traffic to, say, our Facebook page, or people who want to sell us stuff and this and that. And hey, I've always wanted to train martial arts. I live in Chennai. Can I? No, no, we don't serve you. So we don't need to have so much of an outward facing look, except to when we go to these school directors, we want to have professional looking stuff that communicates the level of exceptionality of our program. So these are really marketing tools. And then they can also say to their families, well, here's this website, check this out, and here's all this amazing stuff. But our model is a little bit different because we don't want people wandering in off the street, right? We're not going to go teach in the park, right? Which I understand why it happens, but that won't be what we're doing. Did I answer your question about the need we'll get some more professional photography and we'll stage it. Like it'll be staged to look amazing. Okay. So the near-term thing is, first of all, the reason everybody feels so good about this expansion is really the addition of such great instructors. When we just had these two, because he's got a full-time job, this guy's running back and forth. Like we were sort of limited in how far we could go, right? Now we have the three of you. We're hoping that this goes well. We bring on the gal, Shilpa, right? We bring on more people. But you guys are in a good spot now that we are feeling like, okay, we can start to, send you out on the road. So congratulations, you're doing great. And it's because of you that we can grow this. Part of growing though is we want to make sure that our classes, like if you went to a class at a school in New Friends Colony and you went to a class at a school in Vasant Vihar, the structure of the class would be similar. It might be slightly different because maybe one class is 40 minutes and one class is an hour, but the basic structure of the class is the same. And the style of instruction, how things were organized, the structures like how kids line up, bow in, all of that, you could go to any of the schools and it would look the same. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So we're going to talk about kind of teaching a lot. And I'm working with him on this kind of structure where there'll be some flexibility in some areas, and I'll give an example later. But the overall structure is kids bow in and line up, and there's something about the life skill, and then they move into a warm up, and then they move into movement, which could include lines from a form, but is not necessarily tied to just lines from the form. Then they go into weapon, and again, weapons can be about practicing movement, not necessarily practicing lines. And then there's some sparring work, which is a lot about how you move, forward and backwards, how you adjust combinations, but basically done maybe toward a partner or in the air, but not sparring like fight night. And then what's called a finisher. And the finisher is where and the trick is the finisher has to be quick. It could be, okay, we practice palm heel today. Everybody's going to break a board with a palm heel, and after you break, you go get you're dismissed. You go get your shoes on. So then the first the lines come up. Maybe they're condensed into 2 lines. Smash, 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 smash. That's the finisher. Another finisher could be like, oh, we're going to teach you today a little bit about a wrist grab, and then there's 2 minutes maybe in the air, and maybe once with an instructor holding, and they practice, then they go, and then throughout the week they get better at it, and then it's like, okay, I'm really going to grab you, So the finisher isn't like 5 minutes; it's short, but it can be self-defense, board breaks, something that's kind of like a cherry on a sundae, ice cream sundae, or a little drizzle of chocolate. Okay, okay. And kids love breaking boards, so but it doesn't always have to be board breaking. Okay, the next part of this is just really working on teaching in the most effective ways we can. And what I did today was during the leadership class, I took pages of notes. And so I will do that on Saturdays so that when we meet, and we won't meet every Saturday, but I'm hoping like once a month we meet like this, and I can give feedback and we can talk about it. So we start to get our head wrapped around the teaching thing. So something that is true is students will rise to the expectations you hold them to. All humans will. If you tolerate something, they'll keep doing it. And tolerating being like talking when they line up, right? And we have kids that hang out here a bunch, and they like each other a lot. They're getting a little casual, right? They're not even. A group of them that were testing for black belt had to come and test again because they were treating testing too casually. Like, it's like, oh yeah, well, I work with you all the time. Like, yeah, we're chill. Well, this is a test. You need to step up, and the moms were like, yes. So it's important that if kids don't do what you're asking them to do, you pause, you remind them what the expectation is, and they do it again, right? Like you did today with the lineup. If you allow them to line up and they're doing not what you're asking them to do, you'll get more of that. Does that make sense? Now, this isn't punitive. This isn't like you're evil, you should be ashamed, you're talking, how awful of you. It's just like, whoa, okay, that is not how a martial artist lines up. Martial artist does this, back off the floor. Okay, here we go. So I don't know if you heard what I said, and I probably said too much, but you want kids to have buy-in. It's not like you're not talking because I told you. You're not talking because you're a martial artist who has discipline. You are being your best self, and this is what your best self looks like at this moment. That's different than stop talking. I told you to stop talking. Do you understand that flip? So rather than say, I'm asking, I'm telling, it's like, this is who you are. This is what that looks like. This is who you need to be because this is the heart of who you are. And then they'll like those little kids were like, yeah, that's me, right? And that's why I said I think they're going to do that the best because they were all like, yeah, I'm a martial artist. I'm going to do that. And so it's okay to grab the three leaders because I went over to them later and said, you know, you're my high ranks in this room and you are not living up to the modeling I expect from you. So that's a different conversation. That's a private conversation. And I'm able to say that because I already have a relationship with them where I can say, this is not okay, but in general, we want to speak to like, this is your best self. This is who you are. This is a quality of being a martial artist. This is a noble thing to do. On the warm-up, if you have kids do stretch kicks and their hamstrings are cold, it's possible somebody will pull a muscle. So something even like jogging 3 laps, doing 20 jumping jacks, a little something, or 20 high knees, 20 butt kicks, something to get a little bit of blood flowing before you ask them to lift their leg up high. Or you say, we're going to do gentle leg swings this round, then we're going to, you have to warm the muscle up. I've seen kids pull their hamstring and then they're out for weeks, right? So just awareness of that. Okay. There was something about, I want you to key up every kick, but then it wasn't, I heard somebody say that, and I heard you were keying, you were making that sound, but not everybody was. And so if you say, okay, you're going to key on every kick, then they need to do that. We have to be careful that we're teaching ki as a deep out breath. It is not screaming. There's not a competition to see who can scream the loudest. So it's okay to say, I want you to ki on every kick, or I want you to say, 1 man, 2 man, whatever. Or I just want you to focus. We're counting. You're quiet. Whatever, but whatever you say you want, you must insist. You stop them. You start them again. Okay. So that goes back to this idea of don't ask for it. Don't say you want it and then not hold them to it. So you have to decide, like, do I really want this right now? And I'm guilty of this bit because I will frequently show up on a Saturday, not tell you much of anything and just start teaching. So shame on me. Pretty much everybody arrived on time of us. You asked him to demonstrate something and he didn't know what the kick plan was. So you had to stop and explain to him. I bet you if you'd spent 20 seconds to say, or 30 seconds, we're going to start with this, we're going to do this. This is what I'm talking about. Show me because I'm going to need you to demonstrate because I'm hurt, blah, blah, blah. And then you know what the kick, at least what the kick is. So that it's not, no, I mean, keep your foot up. No, I mean that, like you don't want that. You want it to look smooth, polished, like we're all part of this plan. Okay. So as much as we talk about things like you're a martial artist, this is who you are, this is why you do this, we also want to shout out individuals, and I think you're pretty good at this, but I mean, you can do this even in your lines. You can say, oh my goodness, so cool. You want to shout out good technique and shout out good behavior. If we shout, and it's not every kid, because then it doesn't look like they're any different. It can't be like, oh, you're good, oh, you're good, oh, you're good. It's like, Hassan did this. Then everybody was like, ooh, I'm good. After that, everybody's hands were up after that. It's like, oh, he got shouted out for that, right? I've talked about this before, but when Senior Master Berkey and Mrs. Senior Master Mrs. Berkey were both here. They talked about this idea of 3x3. Do you remember that? You can say no.
If you explain, then I'd be.
Is that 3 soft touch, 3 compliments?
And 3 times. So each student should hear their name. Each student should get a
Yeah.
high five for something, and each student should get
Correct.
proper touch, which can be a fist bump.
Mhm.
So, and the compliment, for some kids, it's going to be, you're going to be like looking for like, what can I say to this kid? But there's something you can find at some point. And if each kid gets that, in fact, if they get it 3 times in a class, we will have kids who will never leave because they're known, they're seen, they're appreciated, they're understood, they're acknowledged. And who on the planet doesn't want that? Right? Right?
Okay.
And this is about feeling like I belong here. This is my place. I come here because these are my people. This is my community. Kids need to feel that. And if in a class you have 18 kids, that means you're using each kid's name 3 different times. Can be how you greet them, can be when they say goodbye, can be once in class, but start aiming for that level of consistency. And you'll be shocked what just that 3x3 will do. It's a lot, and it's more work than you think, but you can get used to it. You have your line, you had your leaders, you had maybe 2 kids you were working with. Easy to acknowledge, high five, easy to use their name. Probably use it more than 3 times, right? Okay. They call it when they used to have instructor training, we had these 10 class management skills, which apparently they're bringing back. And one of them was this idea of, positive correction and reinforcing positive behavior and realistic praise. So reinforcing positive behavior is the shout out, wow, Everett, you're sitting like a master. Nicholas, that was an incredible strike you just did. Those are acknowledging doing the right thing, the positive behavior. Realistic praise isn't telling a kid that was amazing when it sucks. But realistic praise can be, and like in the case of Hassan, I talked to him later. I said, your balance has come so far. He was able to do those kicks. If you knew this kid back when he first started, he would have just fallen over every time. So these students, you can identify something where you've seen growth, even if they're still struggling to make it great. It might be with Katya, wow, you're getting a lot of height with your kicks. Her foot was flopping like a dead fish, but there was something there to acknowledge. And so that's the realistic praise. You don't tell somebody, that was great, right? And actually when you tell kids that's great, it doesn't really help them, right? You need to name it and be specific. I feel like everybody needs another coffee. You guys are looking like you need to yawn. Okay. Next time you get 2 or 3 coffees, we put them on the ground. You just keep chugging them down. Okay. Now here's something I noticed. And we are going to stop by 1, so don't worry. You just have to hang in and look good for the video for 15 more minutes.
No, it's no problem. Just no.
I know you've got a cold and you're like, oh, I'm going to yawn. Okay. Everybody engages better if they understand why they're being asked to do something. And the why can't be because I told you so. So it doesn't have to be for everything, but something like with a leadership class, because that was what I was watching. Like today, we are going to work on some some compound kicks where we're not going to put our foot down in between the kicks. And we're doing this because we're headed towards working on a form where these kicks will be needed. But also, let's think about this in practicality. If you ever had to defend yourself, it's possible your first kick, they move. But if you put your foot down, they've got time to come in. So you may need to do something quickly in response. You may need to do another kick before putting your foot down. So that casts the reason why we do this stuff, not just because it's in the form, but because there's a practical reason. Or this develops better balance. So when whatever, there's like probably 6 or 7 reasons you could say anything happens, right? So a brief framing for especially those aren't tigers, right? Tigers, you might say like, we're going to work on this punch because you are going to be an awesome tiger who punches hard. Okay, that's a why. I want to be an awesome tiger. I want to punch hard. But for the older kids, framing it like, here's where we're going. Here's where we're going. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we started doing application in the weapon form, also in the open hand form.
But I'm talking about articulating with words the why of that. Like you could say, today we're going to work on this cutting motion because, if you were actually fighting with the sword, this is where you would be striking, right? So we're going to work on this because somebody would get slashed here and they would back off and not want to fight you, right? But you probably know, but articulating for them the why. And again, with tigers, it can be, we're going to work on this foot movement because someday you're going to be an awesome martial artist and you're going to need to move your feet quickly, whatever. But, some reasons. Okay. Some kids don't know left and right. I've seen a lot of guys they do not know. So we can say things like, lie down with your head towards the windows, facing the climbing wall. Right? Because you had them do a really good thing on the floor. And at one point you did reference some points in the room, but when you started, you said a lot of stuff. And I was thinking, wow, I don't think they're going to know exactly because there was a lot. So something like, okay, lie down on your left side. That's okay. Facing the climbing wall, head to the windows. Right? Most kids, and you say it slowly so they can get there. Yes.
We generally, Mr. Randhawa and I say, everyone show me this hand up and tap you. This is our right leg.
Right. That's a good one too, because then they know, like I'm whacking this side. That's the leg I'm kicking with. That's a really good thing to do. Okay. Giving instructions in digestible chunks, baby steps. So with your drill, you were going to have them move across the floor in a back stance, kicking with the back leg, facing one way, kicking in another direction, because in the form, right, you do kick in another direction, and then turn and do it the other way. Okay, you had a fair amount of success because you had a lot of adults with each group. But let's say there's 2 of you in a room. You could not tell a group of kids, we're doing it, we're going to be in a back stance facing this way, but then we're going to kick that way. And then after we do that kick, we're going to go in a front stance. Then we're going to switch our back stance. I mean, it was like too much information. The brain has the ability to only hold a small amount of information in the moment. And so something like, let's just get in a back stance and practice doing that kick on one side, landing in a front stance. And let's go back to that same side. Let's do that a bunch. Now let's do that on the other side. Now we can try switching sides, right? Because you can overcomplicate it and the kid is trying to figure out which way to face, and then the kick isn't really happening well because they're so busy trying to remember what the heck do I do. So just think digestible chunks. Recognize that as an adult, what you can recall, and as a martial artist, a very good martial artist, will be 20 times what they can. So very digestible chunks. All right, actionable feedback. I'm going to look up in my old instructor books the actual, there are like 6 of these things. I couldn't think of them all, shame on me. But there are several things like with a kick that you could address. And you don't want to give a kid all the feedback that you possibly could give them because they won't be able to know what to focus on. So you always pick the biggest bang as you can for the buck. So it might be a proper starting position. They're not starting right, therefore it's not happening right. Trajectory, like their hand is going like this when they punch, or they're hooking, and it needs to be a straight line to the target if it's not a hook. Foot position, upper lower body separation. We have a lot of kids who are turning, throwing their hand, looking away, not keeping this way. And that's hard. This is hard to do. Alignment. We talk about going past a target. If you kick and touch a target, like if you put a board there and you kick to the board, it won't break. You have to go through the board. So you have to have kids think about the alignment required for that. And they won't think of that. That's your job. Again, you're never going to address all those things that I talked about just now. You're going to, like Katya, her base foot was wrong. I told her to fix her foot. Boom, there was her balance. She was able to do it. Right. So you're looking for the thing that, like, what can I tell them that's going to make the biggest shift? And then have them work on that for a while before you then work on the foot that's flopping. Right. Okay. So actionable feedback, and then watch, tell. And I heard this. I heard yes. Yeah. I heard people, especially when you had those small groups, or you even had one student.
Today I applied the same application when they are struggling with the jump kick. So I just said knee, then knee, and kick. They tried this couple of times and they suddenly started getting the kick, and I was so surprised to see that they jump and kick so well, especially the Alexandra sister.
Good. Right. You figure out the one thing, you hang in there until you get results with that. You ignore the other stuff that's a train wreck, right? Right. That's it's easy to see a million things you'd like to correct. Don't go there. Remind students, and this can be part of that 3x3, of the incredible progress they've made. Everybody needs to feel there's hope for them. Everybody needs to feel someday I'll be a black belt. Someday I will look like Mr. Kumar, Mr. Kunal, Mr. Andava, Mr. H. Heaven forbid they say they look like me, but okay. So that's my example that I wrote down, was when I said to Hassan, oh my God, your balance is so much better. Because that's a kid who works really hard and for whom this does not come naturally at all, right? Like everything's a struggle. And he's a smart human, and he tries to square the fact that he can understand it up here but can't make it happen here, and he gets frustrated. So reflecting back the good stuff in a heartfelt way, kids will work hard for that, and they'll feel connected to you, which is important. Perfect relationships. People need to be seen, known, understood, valued, appreciated. If we do that, we will have students will never leave us. And oftentimes, problems we have with kids is because they are craving the desire to be seen and known, appreciated. And in their life, the only way they've gotten that attention is through behavior that we don't appreciate. Right? So we have to shout out, or even privately say, like, Prashant, that was really good. I'm so impressed. Like, really? Or like, hey, buddy, I'm seeing you're having a little trouble. How about a 2-minute? You want to go sit up 2 minutes, or can you pull it back? So we don't want to be in a head-banging mode. We want to be like, I'm your coach. I'm on your side. I'm going to help you through this. And there are times when, like, we had that whole like cabal of it was Nitsan and Oad and Ito and they were taking all the other Israeli kids with them, which wasn't good. But Nitsan desperately craved attention, like and I think had we recognized that sooner and shouted him out when he did the right stuff, and then had those conversations like, dude, I love having you model, but when you're acting like this, I can't move you forward because you're not modeling the whole picture. But I want you to come out and demonstrate. So this is what I need. This is what I need from you. I think he would have, like, had more desire to kind of pull it in. Instead, he put his energy towards sort of being a ringleader with his friends and wanting to get their attention, right? So something to just be aware of. And my final point, perfect timing too. When you work kids hard, like really hard, you have to recognize, like, we can't, oh, one more last round. Okay, last round. Okay, third to the last round. 4 more last rounds. Like, if you say it's the last round, ask them to put their best out there and then switch up what's happening so that they can have a break. Like the stretching was good, right? Because they had worked on hard kicks and it wasn't like they had any downtime, right? They were just going. I think of myself, if I did 25 minutes of kicking, I'd be like, okay, so we have to just recognize if the energy level, we've asked a lot, we need to respond to that. Also, if kids aren't producing enough energy and they're like, maybe it's after school and they're kind of like, they've had a long school day, having a warm-up that's not too physically demanding, but maybe it's like running through the jungle or something fun, or where they're smiling a little bit, or it's maybe your finisher is with the little kids is 2 minutes of Simon Ninja Says, or something where they get to play something, and that's the way they end class, so that they even with whatever energy level they bring, they're having a good time, they're engaged, they feel good about it. All right, I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. So are there any questions before we turn off our lovely YouTube video?
Thanks for giving us feedback. So yes, of course, we will take care.
Well, okay, it's so easy to sit by and talk about what others are doing, right? It's easy. You guys are smart and capable, and I know you'll make changes as you are able, but you're also human. And so as long as we're progressing towards these things, we're going in the right direction. Yes, sir. I love how you raise your hand. Yes, sir. I love that.
As you said about Nitsan, talk to him privately. We used to do a lot with him. I remember when I used to come, sometime we take, because I remember he used to say, take the kids out, the one who is making the trouble, and talk to them. So we used to talk to them this way. When suddenly he changes the behavior because other environment also affect him. So suddenly I saw Prashant, he changed completely. But before, like last time, we used to go to him personally and say, Prashant, come on, you can be our new leader. Can you come with us? But at that time, what should we do? Because right now he's very good. He changed a lot. But that time we used to face a lot of problems, even after saying this.
Well, you have to realize you have that kid for 45 minutes in a day. You don't know what else is going on with them.
Exactly.
And you don't know, they have learned behaviors that for whatever reason have worked for them. And I would say in the case of Prashant, getting attention even for using a swear word is better than not having any attention. Like even getting in trouble is better than not having attention, because at least it's attention. Like he craves that. So all we can do is remind kids of what we believe is inside them, remind them what they are as a martial artist. We can have them, we can say, I'm going to need you to sit out. I'm going to need you to go sit down over there. And when I think you're ready, I'll come check, and we did that a lot with Prashant. It's like, no, that buddy, not on the floor anymore, off. And that took him out of the ability to mess around and get the attention he wanted. So, but then we also tried to give him praise and attention when he was doing the right thing. But it takes 2 years, 2 years to get to this point, because you just don't know the whole history of how that child got there.
So things will take time.
Right. And in the case of Nitsan, I had a conversation with Nitsan and his dad, and Nitsan was speaking incredibly disrespectfully to his father. And I said, stop. You are not going to speak to your father like this, especially in front of another person. That is not respectful. That is not what a martial artist would do. That is totally not okay. But clearly the dad just stood there. I think this is probably what Nitsan does at home.
Mm-hmm.
So how does he know where the boundary is if this is how it is okay at home, right? Because this is what works at home. I just bully my parents and I get what I want. What?
Understand.
So not all parents have great parenting.
Same with the Ido. Ido also used to behave like that with his mom, not with his dad, but with his mom. He used to behave like that sometimes.
Right. And mom did not know what to do. And mom did not know how to fix it. And they're going to be, and we are not these kids' parents. We have them for, 45 minutes at a go. We do the best we can. Maybe over time things get better. I am prepared to sometimes this happens where you have to say, we're going to refund your money and you can't continue in the program. And here's why. It's possible to do that. We don't want to do that. And it has nothing to do with money. It just has to do with, that's like saying you're giving up on a human being. That's kind of a scary thing. But we can do that if we have somebody who truly just cannot function, especially if somebody is endangering other people or bullying or things like that cannot be tolerated. Taking a stick and whacking somebody.
Yeah, definitely we need a parent support also. Like Hassan.
Yeah.
His mom is always here, and now we can see lots of changes because her mom is also supporting to Hassan and we are supporting to Hassan. Similar, we had a few students in past also. Like Prashant, his dad or they stay here.
He's
Right.
coming regularly.
They know, they're watching them. They are trying to fix them. They are also helping us to.
Right. And when we said we need you to come to class, he came. Yep.
Even his dad asked me, is he behaving good today? How is he today? He take report of his behavior. He also know how he behaves.
Right.
So he's not why you're treating Prashant like that. He's also aware of behavior of Prashant.
100%.
And there's a lots of changes in Prashant because when he was with Alex.
Yeah.
Oh, that's those two. By the way, Alex got his black belt.
Oh,
Yeah.
And with the ATA in Virginia with Master Brunig, and they have a 4-hour black belt test. Man, they put those kids through it. I just yeah, this is great. Work that boy, And I think he had to go for a year before they let him test. So yeah. Anyway, we can say goodbye to the video. You can stop that.
Goodbye.
And bye-bye. And I'll share that. Namaste.
Namaste.
And I'll upload those videos to the gal in Rochelle Mo.
वही करो एंड कर रहा है